Alright. See if the stream's up and running. There it is there. Audio's working as it should. Stream's up, chat's up, bot's working. Can't be too far away from the race starts. Oh. Yeah, we're not set for a particularly big field today. Set to have a maximum of 15. Just waiting on 2 drivers. Once I arrive, we should be getting underway. Silkweed is in the lobby. Just be waiting on Wing It. Once he arrives, should be good to go. There's Wing It. Good, good. Into his seat, there we are. Alright, this should be everybody. Hello to you too, Jules. Best of luck today. Hello, Brody. Hopefully everyone gets to enjoy themselves, or at least enjoy themselves a little bit more than last week. Last week was very, very chaotic, so hopefully this week's a bit smoother. Yeah, interesting. The new update has changed quite a few things. But I haven't heard too much about the physics changing. It's a lot about the cars changing their physical appearance, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a slight physics update with these cars. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I haven't heard too many people talk about it though. Alrighty. Hello everyone and welcome to round 10 of the AM1 Championship here on Contest of Speed. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event. And this time we're competing at Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari for the Imola Grand Prix. One of the most iconic circuits in the history of motorsport, Imola was created and constructed in 1953 and had the privilege of hosting its first Formula One race in 1980. The race proved to be so popular, the racetrack would find a near-permanent residency on the Formula One calendar for over 25 years. Over its tenure in the sport, the circuit would host several of the most important and most memorable moments in the history of Formula One, but even so, the circuit would disappear off the calendar after 2006. During desperate times in the COVID-19 pandemic, Imola would make a triumphant return in 2020, and it doesn't appear that the track will be disappearing anytime soon. The circuit measures up at 3.05 miles and consists of 19 corners and a single DRS zone that heads down the main straight into the circuit's first chicane, known as Variante Tamburello. Tamburello will prove to be the most used overtaking spot on the circuit, as the rest of the racetrack being narrow, fast and extremely technical, it will be almost impossible to try and pass. This will prove to be once again a very important qualifying session, just like last week. But before we touch more on qualifying, there is a little bit of news to go through first from the previous chaotic race in Monte Carlo. Now, there was a single incident report, an incident that we actually saw on stream that involved Silkweaver and Warren. It happened at the Nivelle chicane where Silkweaver passed down the inside, ended up cutting the chicane and gaining position. The stewards looked at that and deemed that it was an unfair overtake. So Silkweaver was given a 5-second time penalty and 1 penalty point. But even with the penalty applied, Silkweaver wouldn't actually move position in the final results. As a result of this, the final finishing positions from that race remain completely unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, it is Vermeulen leading the way, still on 156 points after a very, very disappointing Monaco Grand Prix. He still has a massive margin over Silkweaver, though, who is now on 109, but he's 47 points behind, so a really big gap between the top two in the championship. Saint is P3 on 103, followed by Red Devil on 84, and Kryptonic rounds out the top 5 on 62. Mercedes lead the team championship on 214, followed by Haas on 119, AlphaTauri 1 point behind on 118, followed by Red Bull on 111, and Ferrari round out the top 5 on 88 points. Mindset has just started flying lap, making his way out of turn 1 and heading into Variante Tamburello. We might ride on board, give you a tour of the circuit. We're exiting turn 4, heading up towards Variante Villeneuve, turns 5 and 6 on the racetrack. This completes the first sector. We'll head into the turn 7 hairpin, known as Toza. Third gear, eventually reaching full throttle just before the outside curve. Around turn 8, and into Piratella, turns 9 and 10 on the racetrack. Down the hill into Acqua Minerale, one of the most difficult parts of this racetrack. And it turns 12 and 13. Up and over a small crest, down this back straightaway, and into Variante Alta. The circuit's tightest chicane, as Drip's mindset demonstrates. Quite easy to lose control out of a slow speed section if you're too eager on the accelerator. Might go with Brody. Try and complete the rest of this lap. Going through Acqua Minerale, 4th gear, heading up the hill over the crest towards Variante Alta. On the brakes, turns 14 and 15. Nice and tidy there from Brody. Towards the turn 16 pink, this right-hander here, and into Ravazza, turns 17 and 18 on the racetrack. 3rd gear, up to 4th, back down to 3rd, back up to 4th. Kryptonic sets the benchmark at 15.2. Brody goes around the final corner and crosses the line. He just misses out on provisional pole by 11 thousandths of a second. Red Devil has invalidated on his flying lap attempt. Bad Fast making his way towards Piratella. Turns 8 and 9. Very easy to invalidate by running wide at the exit of turn 9. Schulz does a 15.6. Currently 3.5 tenths off Brody in P2. Down the back straightaway towards Variante Alta. Brings it down to 4th gear. Keeps it in 4th all the way through. Car looks good, car looks stable. As he heads towards Ravazza. Flat out through turn 16. Will enter Ravazza at 190 miles an hour. Drags it all the way down to 78 through turn 17. Very tidy through turn 18. Appears to be quite a nice lap here from Bad Fuss. Crosses the line. P3. 15.4 exactly. Red Devil making his way around Toza. Warren has invalidated through Tamburello. Through Variante Villeneuve goes Wingett in the McLaren, making his way into the Toza hairpin. 2nd gear here, short shifting up to 3rd as the car squirrels its way out of the hairpin. The back end got very, very loose, but Wingett managed to keep control of the car. Keeps it well within the white lines at Piratella as well. Through Variante Alta goes Red Devil. Be looking to perform here at Imola, although I've just noticed he's actually switched off the battery, so he's not on a proper flying lap attempt. Harris Plex on a flying lap, making his way through Villeneuve. Very tidy through there. No number on that. on the front of that car. Got 54 on the side, but there's no number on the front. If you notice that, you can see the Shell logo, but above that there's nothing. There's no actual number on the front nose of that car. It is on the side, but on the front, nothing. And he's invalidated through Aqua Minerale. Very easy to do. As mentioned before, it's a extremely technical racetrack. During qualifying, there's a lot of places where you can invalidate a lap. Through here at Variante Tamburello, you can cut a bit too much, you can run a bit wide here at the exit at turn 4. Here through Villeneuve, it's not so much cutting you have to worry about, it's running too wide on the exit, which Warren doesn't do. Round Tosa, turn 7, up towards Piratella. That's the next hotspot for invalidating a flying lap. Just going in a bit too hot, running a bit too wide, like that. It's actually quite a nice demonstration of what I was talking about by Warren. Just the front end not gripping up enough to get the car rotated around Piratella. It just understeers wide as Red Devil jumps up to provisional pole position with a 14.6. He's almost 6/10 clear of Kryptonic in P2. Got Silkweaver and Electric Blade out on track. We'll see if Electric's got that same glitch. No, his number's appearing, 93. That's appearing on the front nose, but with Harris, yeah, that 54 is missing. It's completely absent. Electric Blade yet to put a time on the board. He's one of 8 drivers who haven't done exactly that. We're closing in on the halfway mark of this qualifying session. Yeah, pit exit here can be quite dicey, especially during qualifying. And there's really not much the person coming out of the pits can do, you know. They can drive off into the grass, but that's typically considered unorthodox. But they can try and do that. But, yeah. It happens sometimes, especially at racetracks that have really awkward pit lanes that feed the drivers out onto the racing line. Electric Blade looking pretty good, making his way through the middle sector, heading up towards Variante Alta. Bringing hard to third gear, clobbering over the curbs, touring car style. The car looks good. The car looks very stable at the moment. Round turn 16 kink, down into Ravanza, down to third gear. Up to fourth. Oh, running too wide, I'm afraid, there. If you use all of the curb on the outside of turn 18, yeah, the game won't hesitate. You will get an invalidation. This will also be something to keep in mind during the race. I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of drivers got time penalties over the course of the Grand Prix. And I wouldn't be surprised if they had a massive effect on who finished where, because safety cars are quite common here. Being a technical circuit, there's a lot of areas where you can lose control of the car, and the barriers aren't terribly far away. I mean, this is a proper old-fashioned racetrack. The barriers aren't far, and there's no tarmac runoff to save you. It's gravel and grass on the outside of the racetrack. Silkweaver crosses the line. He does a 15.2, so 3 drivers in the 15.2s at the moment. Kryptonic's trying to break out of it. He's currently up by 6 thousandths of a second to the middle sector, so he'll have to improve considerably here in the final sector. Try and break into the 14s. Not much to the final sector other than Ravanza. That's about it. Up towards the line for Kryptonic, and what do you know? He found that time. He found damn near 3/10 of a second through that final sector. So he got that pretty spot on. Saint, he's now P2 with a 14.7. We got Vermeulen out on track, our championship leader. He'll be looking to blitz the leaderboard here in this qualifying session, making his way down the hill towards Ravanza. Part of the new update is a physical change to a lot of cars, none more so than the Mercedes. As you can see now, the move jumps up to the top of the board with a 15.498. A 14.498. But yes, Mercedes has side pods now. It actually has side pods. Bit weird. Got very used to the side podless Mercedes, but now, yes, got actual side pods. Here's Sainz going back into the pits, bad fast. Might have just completed a flying lap. I think he has a 14.868. So we've got drivers cracking into the 1 minute 14s. Nortek's close. He's done a 15.2. Brody loses control out of Variante Alta. So this lap, he won't be improving on his PB. Schul's making his way down towards Ravazza. Yeah, a lot of cars have been given updates to their looks. Codemasters have actually done a fairly decent job of replicating the real-life cars and their upgrades. Unlike other things with this game, the physical appearance of these cars is actually quite satisfying. They've worked really hard on making them as accurate as possible, so I'll give them credit. They've done a good job. Towards the line for Drip's mindset. He goes to P3 with a 1 minute 14.700. Just a few thousandths of Red Devil in P2. Got Electric Blade out on track as well as Stubley in the Aston Martin. Race winner from Monaco. That incredibly dramatic race that we had there. You'd be looking to try and replicate that here at Imola. You gotta remember as well, Brody, that TT is simulating perfect conditions. So you don't have to worry about tyre temperatures, you don't have to worry about track temperatures, you don't have to worry about time of day and that kind of stuff. Because what it simulates is basically perfect conditions. So you're always expected to lose time from time trial over to a Grand Prix mode qualifying session. In saying that though, that I have heard of occasions where drivers have actually gone faster in Grand Prix mode rather than time trial. So yeah, it's not uncommon to hear something like that. But typically speaking, when you're going from time trial to Grand Prix mode, which is essentially what this is Grand Prix mode, yeah, the times are expected to drop because you now have fuel in the car. Oh, Stubley runs wide through Aqua Minerale. You've got fuel in the car. You have to worry about tyre wear. You have to worry about tyre temp. You have to worry about track temp. You have to worry about traffic around you. You know, all that kind of stuff. So it has a massive effect on lap time as a result. Nothing wrong with being a TT merchant, so long as you've actually got a bit of racecraft. That's something that I see from a lot of time trial merchants, is that their racecraft is horrid. Their capability of battling side by side is, yeah, nowhere near as good as their ability to extract lap time in qualifying. Like, you can go out and you can do time trial all you like, but yeah, knowing how to compete in side-by-side battles is something that goes a long, long way in races. Electric Blade crosses the line, he goes to P7. Man, I wish I could set times fast as AM1. Never ever gotten a pole position in an F1 league race. Ever. I've only won 3 times. I've never ever gotten a pole position. Warren getting ready. 2 Alpines getting ready as well. Nortek will be the first of these drivers to attempt to fly. Blade, he's on an in-lap because he's low on fuel. Alright, Nortek, let's see what you can do. 15.2 is his PB at the moment, heading down into Variante Tamburello. 4th gear through here. Getting very close to those yellow sausage curbs. They do unsettle the car quite dramatically. But you can jump over them. Sort of this big game of risk versus reward as Nortec runs wide into the gravel trap, and he's currently down by 0.4 of a second, so he'll probably bail on that flying lap, cool the car down a little bit, and have another go later. Someone's jumped up. That's Schulz in the Mercedes. He's done a 14.707. He is 7 thousandths behind Mindset, who is still in P3. Not too bad through turns 12 and 13 there. Over the crest on the back straightaway. Up towards the middle sector split. Brody is up by just over 0.3 of a second as Electric Blade retires from this qualifying session. Fair enough. He's run out of time. There's only 1 minute and 40 seconds left in this session, so it's quite understandable. Alright, coming out of Ravazza now, 4th gear. Very close to invalidating, but Brody kept it just within the white lines. He is set to improve. It's a 14.931 P7 for the Alpine driver at the moment. Mindset making his way through Toza. Red Devil heading towards Ravazza, and Vermu in the middle of the racetrack. Okie dokie. So, who's getting ready to set flyers then? Kryptonic, he's heading through Ravazza. Nortec on another flying lap attempt, making his way through Tamburello. Used to be a seriously ferocious corner many, many moons ago. It was a completely flat-out left-hander where cars would be doing over 300 kilometers an hour. That was back in the 80s and 90s. It was a seriously fast turn. We know what it's capable of. Everyone in here should know what that turn was capable of, unfortunately. Which is the reason why there's a chicane now in there. But it's still very fast. The approach into that chicane, you have to be very, very spot on. Hello, Saint is backwards. Well, he's looking at Tamburello. He's inspecting the corner. That's what he's doing right there. That's a deliberate spin. He wants to have a look at the corner. Mindset on a flying lap, making his way into Tamburello. 207 miles an hour. Ludicrous speed into there. And 150 out of it. Saint gets well out of the way. Red Devil to the first sector is down by 30 seconds. So, Red Devil is not set to improve on his PB. Best he can do is a 14.6. He was indeed admiring the spot. Admiring the history of Tamburello. Up towards the middle sector, split for Vermu. Is he improving? The answer is yes, he's up by a decent chunk as well, by 2 3/4 of a second. Very nice out of Variante Alta. Only a few corners left on the lap. Around turn 16 here. Approach into Ravazza. Around turn 17. Bad fast to P2, a 14.5. He just misses out on provisional pole position. He won't take it overall. It'll be Vermu. Look at that, a 14.058. That should be the pole time for this Grand Prix here at Imola. Mindset crosses the line. Oh, he got closer than I thought he would. Okie dokie, a 14.096. Well, my statement's correct, but yeah, that's a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. There we go. What a performance. Well done, Mindset. Right at the death of qualifying. Misses out on pole position by not much, by 38 thousandths of a second. Yeah. I mean, I thought Vermu might get pole by a couple tenths, but no, Mindset has completely crushed that theory. Top two really super close at the end of qualifying. Hello, garbage truck. Just outside my house, making lots of noise. There we are. Not bad. Man, that's a mouthful. Formula 1 Qatar Airways. Oh my word. It's too long, I couldn't get through it. So there we are. The end of qualifying here at Imola. It's Vermu on pole position. Mindset alongside him on the front row. Followed by Badfast. That's a really nice qualifying from him. He's P3. Red Devil is in P4. Schulz rounds out the top 5. Then we have Saint in P6 after his inspection at Tamburello. He couldn't improve on that lap time. Brody P7, followed by Kryptonic, Electric Blade, and Nortec rounds out the top 10. Silkweaver, probably a disappointing qualifying for him, down in P11, followed by Stubley in 12. Harrisplex P13, then Wing It, and Warren will be starting from the back. with a 116.8. Yeah, not bad at all. At the end of qualifying, I really did think Vermeer would have a bigger margin between himself and Peter, but no, that's a great effort from Mindset. Only just missing out. Oh. Right. Race time. Here at Imola. Overcast conditions. Is there a weather report? Didn't see. I'm sure people probably have already informed me in the chat, I just hadn't noticed. But it's dry at the moment, that's the most important thing. If we get any mixed weather, then yeah, they'll certainly make the race incredibly interesting in regards to strategy. What's fuel? I don't know. I know a couple of tracks are quite bad with fuel, like Monaco, Hungary, Qatar's the worst by a lot. Well, there you go. Fad. That's not good. Feel bad. Feel bad at Imola. Yeah, no, best of luck, drivers. It's going to be a game of survival. And a game of not getting time penalties. Because I imagine a fair few drivers will get them. Drivers making their final changes to their setup. Should be getting underway very, very shortly. Well, I guess I'm wrong. Maybe not so shortly. Oh, now someone's got their lawnmower out. Midday. It's gonna be... Oh, I guess it's not too bad to do some mowing. Man, it's really not shortly. These guys are taking their time with this. What's going on? I don't know, Deston. That's a good question. I haven't seen anyone say anything in the Discord. Lawnmower run over a stick. Oh, I guess everyone's ready, it's just no one's readied up. I don't know why, but Cody's decided to get rid of the timer that indicated when somebody's readied up. That used to be a really handy tool because it allowed me to just sort of set up the formation lap, getting ready for the formation lap, getting ready for the race. But now there's no timer, so yeah, I kind of just left wondering when are we meant to go onto the grid. Slight mix up in terms of tyres at the front, not so much in the middle. We'll run through the order just quickly because it has been a little while since qualifying. Vermeer will be starting from pole position. He's on the hard compound tyre for the start of this Imola Grand Prix. We have Mindset in P2, he's on the mediums. Bad Fast in P3 on the mediums as well. Same with Red Devil in P4 and Schulz in P5. Saints, the next car starting on the hard compound tyre in P6. Brody in P7 is starting on the mediums, as well as Kryptonic, Electric Blade, Nortec, Silkweaver, and Stubbly. They're all on the mediums. Harris Plex in P13 is on the hard compound tyre. He's the last of the hard runners. And the two drivers behind him, Wingett and Warren, they're on the mediums. So we have 13 on the mediums. Sorry, 12 on the mediums, 3 on the hearts. Couldn't do math there for a little bit. Yeah, 12-3 split. It's definitely one-sided. That's for sure. Get rid of the tyre graphic then at the start of this race, just to open up the viewing space a little bit. Nice camera angle. Gives you an idea of how steep of a hill they fall down after turn 16. You don't really notice it when you're driving, but it is a fair drop from turn 16 all the way down into the first Rivazza curve. Coming up onto the main straight. You see the chicane there, Variante Bassa it's known. It's used for motorcycle racing, that chicane. Try and slow the bikes down as they head towards Tamburello. See that Vermeux's slightly angled his Mercedes. You can see the edge of the rear wing popping out from the rest of the group. His mindset's done very much the same thing. Yeah, you gotta love it. Right, all 15 cars are lined up ready to run. We've got 32 laps ahead of us, 10 red lights. We're underway. Here at Imola, it's a nice start from the front row there, heading down towards Tamburello, and it stayed with that camera angle for way too long. Vermeux's will lead, heading into the first chicane. Too wide action between Bad Fast and Red Devil. Or Bad Fast wide, he's running wide into the gravel trap. He tumbles down to last position. The midfield scrapping away as they head towards Variante Villeneuve. Trying to sort themselves out, trying to get single file. Blade trying to fight Kryptonic as we head into the Tosa hairpin. Silk Weaver battling Nortec. So come out of the hairpin. Look around the outside here. Blade trying to get it done. It does indeed. Doubly in P9. Silk Weaver P10 down the inside of Nortec. Takes a position. Almost goes into the back of Stubbly. Kryptonic getting by Saint. A poor run out of turn 13 for the Red Bull driver. Means that Kryptonic gets in front and into P6. So a bit of drama at the start, primarily surrounding around Bad Fast. After he lost control through Variante Tamburello, he's now all the way down in last position, in 15th place. It's Vermeux's who leads the way. Mindset in P2, and he's shadowing the Mercedes. He might go for a pass. Round the outside, heading into turn 2. Has to send it in deep. He sends it in too deep. Cuts the track and rejoins in front of Red Devil, who runs into the back of him. The Williams has damage. The end plate on the right hand side is missing. He'll have to come in and get that fixed. Tumbles down to P6, and now Saint closes in on the stricken Williams. He'll get by quite easily. Devil would be sitting dark. He's essentially getting out of the way. Tumbles all the way down to 11th place, and he will tumble down to last at the end of this lap. So, some drama there at turn 2. Mindset trying to get by Vermeux's round the outside. Overcooks it, cuts through the gravel trap and rejoins directly in front. Be interesting to see what happens post-race in regards to that incident. Vermeux's still leads, but it's not by much of a margin. The interval isn't working, should be working now. Schulz sets a new fastest lap of 19.0 as he closes in on Brody. Goes round the outside. Can he pull it up? The answer is yes. Moves through into P3. Tidy overtake. Silk Weaver. Stubbly! Around goes Stubbly in the Aston. Blocking the track, and bang! Goes Warren into the side, and bang goes Bad Fast into the side of Warren. Virtual safety car deployed. Oh, and we got people slowing down, and Stubbly gets to move through. What? Really? Okay, interesting. I guess the VSC told them to do that. They all got illegal overtakes. Well, Warren will have to come in. Tyre front wing on that car destroyed. DRS is now enabled. We're back under green flag conditions. Probably getting in front of Bad Fast. Goes through into P10. Oh, they're going to change positions, it seems. Bad Fast gets back in front. Oh, big slide there from Stubbly. He applies the power out of Variante Alta. Yeah, Warren in trouble. Make his way around the Ravazza curves. Oh, no downforce on that car. Into the pits goes Stubbly and Warren. Both probably have damage, and Warren has a time penalty to boot. Here are your leaders. Vermeulen, Mindset, separated by 0.2 of a second. They've got 1.2 seconds to Schulz in P3. Out of Tozer, heading up towards turn 8. Mindset shadowing the Mercedes, as you'd expect, really. Vermeulen's on the hards. Mindset here on the mediums. So it's obvious that the Haas right now has the pace advantage with the softer compound. Stubbly and Warren making their way out of the pits, and both of them definitely got a front wing change coming out at the same time. So that's a shame for both of them. Realistically needs a safety car to save their race. And that's quite right there, Storm. If Mindset wants to make full use of these medium tyres, he needs to get by Vermeulen ASAP. A lot easier said than done. Vermeulen is an awfully quick driver, even on those hard tyres, and that fastest lap proves it, 17.968. Mindset closes in with the sheer power of DRS, but it's not enough to attack into Tamburello. Or maybe slightly overshot turn 3 there. Went very, very hot into turn 2. Cost himself about a couple of tenths through turn 3. Through Villeneuve. Turn 6. And up towards turn 7. The hairpin. Schulz not terribly far behind. 1.2 seconds off. And that's okay. Ideally, you'd like to be within that 1 second range. That way you can get DRS down the main straight, which is an awfully, awfully long DRS zone. So it makes a huge difference compared to when you have it and when you don't have it. Schulz just not quite quick enough. He's quick enough to roughly stay even, and that doesn't help. A mistake at Alta, losing the back end slightly, costing him a few tenths right there. Some of the other gaps starting to spread out here and there. We'll keep our eyes on the top two as they begin lap 6 of 32 here at Imola. Mindset closes the gap. He's closing in rapidly. Looks round the outside. Take 2 between Mindset and Vermeulen. And Mindset pulls it up. Gets the job done. And takes the lead into Tamburello. Yellows, it's Brody. Around in the gravel trap. Or in the grass more accurately. Now in the gravel trap. That's at the exit of turn 3. Rejoins down in P10. He's got clear track. He's able to get himself going. There's Wingett and Harris closing in. Through the chicane, Brody. Yeah, he's got no temp. His tyres are all dirty. Wingett trying to go around the outside. You can see how little grip Brody has with those tyres. Drops down to P11 as a result. Nortec on the back of Blade. A battle on for P7 on track. Got Kryptonic and Schulz separated by 7 tenths now. Kryptonic a poor run through Variante Alta. And we've got this man Vermeulen glued onto the back of Mindset. And he'll pull off a similar move to what Mindset did a lap ago. We now begin lap 7 of 32. And Vermeulen will get by with ease. Takes the lead back at turn 1. Lead through the Tamburello chicane. Nortec getting by Electric Blade, a similar move. So Nortec through into P7. He's got 2.3 seconds of clear track. If he's got genuinely more pace than Blade, he'll have an opportunity to try and pull away and perhaps try and catch up to Silkweaver, who is now in P6. 3-car train, Schulz. Kryptonic. Saint and P5. 1 second separating the whole group. Nice and tidy out of turn 13. Remember as well, Saint here is on the hard compound tyre, so he's going to be playing a longer game during this first stint, similar to Vermeulen. Vermeulen, with a lot of outright pace, has got 7/10 between himself and Mindset. Mindset will close the gap. Don't think he'll close by enough to try and battle into Tamburello. Kryptonic will get by Schulze. It's a Haas 2-3 at the moment here at Imola. Leading Ferrari, Blade moves through back into P7. So it appears that Nortec and Blade are fairly similar in terms of pace then. There's going to be a neat little genuine battle between these two, I imagine, for the majority of the race. You can see Bad Fast closing in, looking to recover after an incredibly poor start. Tumbling from the top 3 all the way down to last at the very first chicane. Stubbly gets by Warren. That was down the main straightaway, so Stubbly moves through into 14th. Through Variante Alta. Keeping just within the white lines there. Have to be very careful. Half a second separating these two. How does the battery look as Nortec gets a time penalty? 14% is what Mindset's got. Well, ain't that a story? 92% is what Vermeulen's got. It really shows you that Vermeulen is well and truly under control. As Schulze moves through into P3. So he returns to the top 3, at least periodically. Kryptonic will try and keep up, try and get the position back as Nortec moves through into 7th. Bad Fast has closed in to within a second of the 2 in front of him. So he'll be able to dice it up in this battle. See if he can make up a few more places after that poor start. Half a second is the gap between the top 2. You can see Mindset using a little bit of battery just to try and minimise time loss through the middle sector. Try and stick close enough so then when he has DRS he can try and get by. As you can see from the battery, it's painfully obvious who's got the advantage. Vermeulen in complete control. But it's something that we said back in Monaco, and it all crumbled away after one of the more dramatic races that you could possibly see around the streets of Monte Carlo. He'll know that, and he'll be looking to redeem himself after that. It wasn't really his fault, but not the best of runs there through turn 3. Lost the car just briefly, and now Mindset's on his gearbox. Meanwhile, Bad Fast gets by Blade. That's at turn 2. The Aston driver now closing in on the Alpine driver. Try and get by on the next lap down the main straight. Bit of a wiggle there from Saint. And he actually lost a decent chunk of time. Now 1.4 seconds behind Schulze and Kryptonic. Yeah, as I was talking about with Monaco, there is this, I'll call it a feature, it's not really a feature, it's a thing in this game where it can start raining and it takes an eternity for the track to turn into intermediate conditions, as well as vice versa. It can rain and then stop raining and the track can stay wet enough to the point where after 8 or so laps on intermediate tyres with no rain, it's still wet enough that you need inters. Now, I don't mind that because it reflects real life. You know, sometimes it rains hard enough that the moisture sticks around as Kryptonic moves through into 3rd. And sometimes it doesn't rain hard enough to the point where even on a slightly damp track, the slick tyre will actually operate better. You know, We've seen weirder stuff in real life, such as the 2020 Turkish Grand Prix at Istanbul Park. That was completely nuts, how that all panned out. But I think one thing that needs to be implemented in the telemetry in some fashion, is something that's actually been implemented in Gran Turismo 7, is a water meter. Because it's painful to try and get information from Mark, your race engineer. He doesn't tell you a damn thing. You know, you tell him when's the rain coming, he says it's coming in 15 minutes. And then you radio him again a few minutes later and he's telling you it's arriving in 5 minutes. So you're preparing to move on to intermediate tyres and you radio him again and he changes back to 15. Even though you're meant to be closer to the rain. He is completely useless. So you might as well give the player some extra information to help them decide when to move off inters and onto slicks, and vice versa. And a water meter would do that. It certainly does that in Gran Turismo 7, as Schulz moves through into P3 down the main straight. And we're going to see a similar overtake here with Electric Blade moving through on Nortec. So yeah, these two are going to go back and forth throughout this entire race, as Stubley gets a 3-second time penalty. He did that at Variante Alta. But yeah, just some extra layer of information would really help the players out big time. If you're going to have that level of randomness when it comes to how quickly a circuit dampens up and how quickly a circuit dries up, then you need to give that player extra information telling them how much water is on the racetrack at a given time. That way they can make more educated decisions when it comes to what tyre they want to be on at a particular time. The problem is with my idea, it has too much common sense and Codemasters don't like that. So they won't implement it. Because that's kind of what Codemasters do. We ask them to do things and they just flat out ignore us. Kryptonic moves back through into P3. So similar to what we've seen between Blade and Nortec, these two are probably going to go back and forth throughout the entire race. They seem to be pretty even in terms of pace, as Brody gets a 3-second time penalty. It's going to be, you know, neat to watch. Yellow's out. What's that for? Drips? It must have been Mindset. Yeah, it is. Mindset's made a mistake through the first sector. He's cost himself a tremendous amount of time. The tyres look clean. So whatever he did, he didn't spend long doing it. Probably lost it at Villeneuve, maybe. Perhaps ran wide. Lost time. His front wing looks intact. So he didn't hit a wall. But he's now fallen back into this battle between Kryptonic and Schulz. Can he pull away? It doesn't look like it at the moment. And this will give Kryptonic some much needed help to keep Schulz at bay, as Vermouth, the race leader, now gives himself a 3-second time penalty. Something you really, really don't want to do. Especially around a racetrack like this. Chances for a safety car are pretty decently high. As Schulz pits, Electric Blade now gets a 3-second time penalty. Hard tyres bolted on. Away he leaves. Will he get some clear track to play with as well? Wingett's closing in on him. As Harris gets a 3-second time penalty. He did that coming out of Ravazza. Might be close between Harris and Schulz. There we go. Brody, another time penalty. 3 seconds added on to his name. So the numbers are stacking up. Silkweaver getting by Red Devil. Finds himself all the way down in 12th. What a shame. Looked to have a lot of pace. Thanks to pretty decent qualifying effort. And yeah, just sort of got shafted there at Tamburello earlier in the race. Here's your leader. 5.4 seconds the gap now. And it's steadily increasing those hard tyres, doing a lot of good work. Ooh, pulls it up just about. So we'll have hard tyres at the ready. There we are. Easy as you like. Nortec coming in as well. This will be an important pit stop in his battle against Electric Blade. Hard tyres, he's looking for an undercut. See if he makes it work. A few other cars moving through. Schulz come out behind Mindset. And out of Tamburello heading towards Variante Villeneuve. That sits at about 1.4. So, in the middle of the pit stop shuffle, it means nobody's close to anybody. So it's just a patient waiting game to see when everyone closes in on one another. In the meantime, we probably have a look at some of the other details. One of the drivers already made one stop as Stubley gets another 3-second time penalty. In terms of position change, of course, we're in the middle of the shuffle. Right now, the man's gained the most is Wingett up 8 places as Kryptonic pits in. Kryptonic's had a good race so far. He's been up in the top 3. He's genuinely made up 5 or 6 spots. So he's looking pretty good. He'll be moving on to a set of hards. And here's the penalty situation. And this situation will get more and more populated. There's going to be a lot of drivers getting time penalties over the course of this race. It's just sort of how this event works. Now, Mindset should come out in front of his teammate, and does, but what about Schulz? Schulz will come in front of him as well, so Kryptonic down to P5 provisionally. 2 seconds behind his rival. He'll work hard to try and close that gap down. Back to the tyre graphic. Silkweaver, relatively fresh hards. He'll probably be looking to try and go to the end of the race on these tyres. They won't feel particularly great by the end, but I'm sure he'll be happy with the top 6. If he can find a top 5, that's even better. Might need a bit of luck to do so. It appears that Nortex won the battle for now. 1.3 seconds separating him and Blade. It's definitely not over. Blade can get his head down, try and close the gap. Well, the battle will be back on between these two. Oh, and that doesn't help. Cutting far too much at turn 15 results in Nortec getting a penalty as Drip's Mindset sets a new fastest lap. Now Nortec and Blade are on even ground when it comes to penalties. So if they do indeed scrap, as Harrisplex gets a 5-second for speeding, if these two do scrap, it will be genuinely for position. Harris moving on to a set of mediums. Very, very weird how he doesn't have a number on his nose. Not terribly sure why. Little change in position here between Wingett and Warren. As Harris falls down to 15th place. But he'll be able to go to the end of the race on those tyres. The race leader making his way onto the main straight will peel into pit lane, pulls it up, yes he does. Have a set of mediums at the ready. Goes Jax, on go the tyres, away goes the ball. It means that Saint will pass him, have the potential to at least lead 1 lap, which is, I suppose, better than leading 1 laps. Vermeer will come out in front of Mindset. There is the Haas driver, making his way towards Tamburello. The speed difference is obvious. I don't know if Mindset will be able to find a way by Vermeer at this stage. He is awfully close, but yeah, those medium tyres won't take long to warm up. That lag is a bit frightening. Round Tozer though, Vermeer vulnerable. Gets a pretty decent exit. 2 tenths the gap. Yellow's out. Is that... Who is that? Was that Nortec? Might have been. No, he's still in front of Blade, so that must have been Brody then, in the other Alpine. No one brought out yellows through Sector 1. Gap increased to 6/10 of a second. Suppose for mindset, the best thing you can do in this particular situation is try and stay within DRS range for as long as he possibly can. Warren gets a 3-second time penalty. As you can see, Vermeulen does have a time penalty. He has 3 seconds next to his name. So if Mindset can find some way to stay within a second for as long as he can, it'll give himself a better chance of finishing within 3 seconds of Vermeulen. And as I'm listening to him, heading into turn 2 at least, heading into Tamburello, he is lifting and coasting. He is saving fuel. So he may not, we'll see, have a fuel issue in latter stages of this race. See the gaps increase now to 1.6 seconds. Those medium tyres have switched on. And the pace difference, well, it's obvious. It was going to be a tough task, staying within a second, but as Vermeulen's kind of demonstrating, those medium tyres have such a pace difference. Look at him, absolutely flying through Variante Alta. 2.5 seconds to go. He's not mucking around now. Used up a little bit of battery as well. Makes his way onto the main straight. What's the lap? 15.9. Time he's done. He's got 3 seconds already over Mindset. It's basically game, set, match for the race win. Unless, of course, there's a safety car at some point or Vermeulen makes a mistake. Basically, the only thing that can stop Vermeulen right now is himself. Yellow's out. That was Warren making a mistake. Variante Alta. No damage for the Red Bull driver. He's still running. Red Devil, he'll be going to the end of the race on those tyres. Trying to close in on the Harrisplex. To get inside the top 10, you'll have to pass Brody, and he's about 13 seconds ahead, so the likelihood of doing that is fairly minimal. As Nortec and Blade, here we go. Battle is on. So Blade has found a way to close in on the Alpine. And these two will duke it out once again. Up the hill, round turn 13, towards Variante Alta. Nortec has a sneaky little look. Need to get through the chicane cleanly. Both drivers do. Down the hill, towards Ravazza. Down to third gear. Slight modulation of the throttle there. Had to have a few cracks at it. We'll get DRS. Use a little bit of the slipstream. Use a little bit of battery. Close the gap. See the speed difference. It's night and day. Nortec round the outside. Heading into Tamburello. Gets in front. Tidy overtake there. Retakes P8. Stubbly gets Brody as well in a similar manner. Moves through into P10. Lead has changed. Saint is around. That's why a mistake at Aqua Minerale. He moves down to P2. And I assume he'll be pitting in very, very shortly as Warren's retired in the pit lane. He's had enough for the day. Down the hill into Ravazza. Those tyres have definitely seen better days. They've done 20 laps. This will mark the 21st lap done on those tyres, and he's in. Sideways, but he pulled it up. Blade gets a time penalty. 3 seconds added on to his total, so he now has 6. Soft tyres put on Saint's car, so slightly unorthodox strategy. Understandable, though. With something a little bit different. I'll be curious to know how those soft tyres last over an 11 lap stint. Blade will be looking to get by here. does so with ease. Moves through into 7th position. Of course, this lad will be catching up fairly quickly, so we might get a 3-car scrap for 7th. Not bad. Not bad at all. Stubbly in the pit lane. Moving on to a set of mediums. Moves down to 14th. A lot of drivers not having great races out there. And those drivers who I haven't really talked about doing quite well. Kryptonic, Silkweaver. They've both kept out of trouble. You can see that they've gained plenty. From P8, Kryptonic's moved up to 4th, and from P11, I mentioned it, not a great qualifying, but Silkweaver's kept out of trouble in the race, and he's in the top 5. And I think Bad Fast might be a bit too far behind to try and catch up. What's the tyre difference in terms of tyre life? 3 laps. Maybe Bad Fast will be able to catch up. Maybe. Take a bit of effort, though. Kryptonic gets through into 3rd, overtaking the Mercedes of Schulz. Stubbly, another 3-second time penalty. What has he got now in terms of total? 12 seconds. Yeah, he's not having fun out there. It's a tricky track, Imola. Just being frank about it, it's a very, very tricky track. Very easy to get pens, very easy to find the grass. But that's sort of the intention of its design. It's an old-fashioned circuit. It punishes those who go just beyond the limits. There's no safety net, so to speak, to help drivers out. Harris Plex retires in the pit lane as well, so he's done for the day. Schulz pushing too hard. He's abusing too much of the track, and he now has 6 seconds worth of penalties. You can see how hard he was pushing, particularly through Aqua Minerale. I was half thinking if he doesn't get a penalty, then somehow he's pulled off a miracle, because he was well and truly beyond track limits. But the game has penalised him accordingly. Now has 6. His likelihood of getting a podium steadily going out the window. Kryptonic looking good. Harris moving slowly down their main straight. Said it as early as 2019. I don't understand, when a car retires in the pit lane, why isn't there some kind of program that despawns it in the pit lane? How is that not a thing? As Saint moves through into P8. It seems that Nortek's lost a considerable amount of time to Blade. I'm sure Nortek will be hoping that Saint and Blade scrap a little bit. They cost each other time, that way Nortek can catch up. And for ages, since I started commentary back in 2019, I've always said when a car retires in the pit lane, it should despawn in there. That way, the car doesn't dawdle its way back out onto the racetrack in the middle of everybody. Especially in a league where ghosting is turned off, like Contest of Speed. And it doesn't create this massive blockade on a part of the racetrack that if you hit, will completely destroy your car. It's just so silly, but there you go. Yeah, after all this time, I'm surprised there isn't like some kind of retire to pit lane function in the game that you can't just hit, like maybe a menu option as Saint moves through into 7th place. Like you go into menu and you click retire to pit lane. You click that, the game gives you a set of instructions and you move your car into the pits. Meanwhile, if you've got a teammate in the race, Mark will radio the teammate and say, hey, the pit lane's occupied at the moment, your teammate has elected to retire, so you can't stop. Otherwise you're going to have to wait a while for your teammate to get wheeled back in. Or something, you know. Instead of what the game does, lets the car dawdle its way through the pits, make its way out and just despawn at the nearest marshal post, impeding everyone. It's so silly, but I guess it's just not possible to code into the game, I guess. Not too much happening out on track at the moment, folks. Everyone's pretty well spread out. Something we might keep an eye on is Bad Fast and Silkweaver. These two might potentially close in on one another, potentially. Mentioned earlier they had a 3-lap difference in terms of tyre life. Excuse me. It might be just enough for Bad Fast to try and close the gap and maybe fight for a top 5. Of course, as well, Schulz does have 6 seconds worth of penalties, so maybe not just a top 5, but maybe 4th place in the race. Which both Silkweaver and Bad Fast would probably like very dearly. Silkweaver for his championship, for maintaining his 2nd place in the championship. And for Bad Fast, a nice recovery after a shocking start. Oh, that's lag. That's what that is. That's not something you really want to see. What is good to see for Bad Fast, at least the gap is shrinking just ever so slightly. Silkweaver, he's just hoping he can keep that Aston at bay. Now lap 27 of 32 started for these two. Got 6 laps to go. 6 laps, a little over 18 miles of racetrack. Race leader running a bit low on fuel. See on the telemetry, got a yellow fuel icon popping up. Still revving it out pretty hard. Really nice out of Variante Alto. See how smooth he was through there. Car looks real nice. Looks stable. Down the main straight. Gap of 10.6 seconds between the top two. Kryptonic just behind. This will be a big race for Haas in the team's championship. Both cars on the podium at the moment, set for a 2-3 finish. They're currently 2nd in the team's championship, 119 points, so just 1 ahead of AlphaTauri, 118. Just 7 ahead of Red Bull, who are on, 8 ahead of Red Bull, who are on 111. With this result, it will well and truly bump them ahead considerably, ahead of both AlphaTauri and Red Bull. Stubbly a 3-second time penalty. So he passes Red Devil. Man, I hate to be in that car. Wouldn't be the best of feelings running around in that. Crossing the line now. The race leader begins lap 29, 4 to go. Should be Vermeux's race. He does need to keep an eye on his fuel though. He's minus 0.1. I mean, he can back off. He doesn't have to push 10 tenths here. He can push 9 tenths and be fine. You can see he's pushing quite hard. Brody, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's not really lifting, coasting in the corners. As soon as he's off the brake, he's right back on the throttle, so he's not going to try and save fuel. He's just driving the wheels off it. Tyre life won't be as much of a concern. It'll be all about the penalties now. Mindset doesn't have that same yellow fuel icon on the telemetry, so should be okay when it comes to fuel. Kryptonic driving quite well. 6.5 seconds behind his teammate, but no penalties. It's going to help him out massively. Oh, look at Birdfast now, half a second behind. He's closed in on the AlphaTauri and he's ready to pounce. Not terribly behind them is Saint on those soft tyres. He'll be looking to get involved in this battle, but he does have a 3-second penalty to overcome. Birdfast will get by with absolute ease. Down the main straight. 5th place is his. 5.9 seconds behind Schulz though, so needs to not just back off, he needs to keep pushing, stay within those 6 seconds, and he's just crept outside of that 6-second range. So Schulz doing a great job. He's using up some battery, sticking it behind Kryptonic. Yellow's out, Stubbly retires. Oh, he's actually crashed from the looks of things. You can see his dot stationary at the pit lane entry. So I think he actually might have crashed. We're too late in the race now for a safety car. Alright, Schulz, what are you going to do? Brody gets a 3-second time penalty. Now has 12 seconds next to his name. Coming out to Ravat, so Schulz is going to have a crack. Turns on the battery. Turns on the DRS. Moves through into 3rd. All of this in an effort to try and build up a margin to Birdfast, to Silkweaver and to Saint. Saint's run out of battery. He has spent everything to try and catch up to these two. So we've got a 3-car train battling for 5th place on track at least. Penalties are going to have a huge effect on who finishes where. Who will finish on that final podium spot. Coming out of Tozer, heading up towards Piratella. 0.3 of a second is the gap. Silkweaver won't be able to do too much through here, other than just follow the leader. Needs to stay as close as he can to that Aston Martin. Perhaps try and set up a move heading on to the final lap. And I reckon he's very much close enough to try and pull something like that. Oh my word! Saint off the racetrack in his efforts to try and go for 6th. He's thrown it in the wall and he's ended up in 8th. Dear, oh dear. DRS open on Kryptonic's Haas. He's closing the gap up to Schulz. It's the beginning of the final lap. Schulz is a bit too far ahead. Kryptonic can't go for the move, but he is low on fuel. You can see the flashing red icon as Silkweaver goes round the outside, heading into Tamburello to take back P5. The gap's hovering at almost 6 seconds between Silkweaver and Schulz. It's going to be very, very close to see who fights for 4th place. 3rd should be Kryptonic, so long as he doesn't do anything silly. And this man should win if he's still got fuel remaining. He's got a ton of battery remaining. He's just run out of fuel now. He should be okay though. Can make his way out of Ravat, so crawling his way out. Crawling his way up towards the finish line. Completely out of fuel, Vermoo will win here at Imola. It'll be Mindset who finishes P2. Schulz will cross the line in 3rd. He will not stay there though. It'll be a double podium for the Haas F1 team. Kryptonic finishes 3rd. Does Silkweaver finish 4th? The answer is no. So Schulz finishes in P4, Silkweaver in P5. Birdfast just missing out on the top 5 by just over a 1/10.5. Blade finishes P8 with the penalties applied. Saint P7, Nortec P9, and Wingit will round out the top 10. Brody will cross the line P11. He won't stay there though. That place will be given to Red Devil. Red Devil will score 0 points here at Imola. Silk Weaver given driver of the day. P11 to P5. It's a fair call. Here are your podium finishes. Another race win for Vermoo. Crossing the line completely out of fuel. He wins in Imola. Mindset home in P2. Kryptonic P3. A double Haas podium. Huge points for them in the team's championship. The unofficial results then of the Imola Grand Prix. Vermoo's your race winner, setting fastest lap as well. So a full complement of points for our championship leader, with Drip's Mindset home in P2 and Kryptonic completing the podium places in third. Schul's P4, so really big points haul for Mercedes as well. Silk Weaver rounds out the top 5, our driver of the day. Bad Fast recovers to P6, a nice recovery for him. What could have been for Saint. Battle for P6, he ultimately finishes 7th. Electric Blade P8, followed by Nortec, and Wing It rounds out the top 10. Red Devil P11, Brody in 12th, finishing outside of the points. Stubbly classified in 13th place. Harris Plex and Warren classified as DNFs. Not the most exciting race in the world, folks, but it was most certainly a race. It had its moments, it had its drama. But sometimes, every so often, just gets a nice, dull race. It happens. We get to have a nice cinematic look at the new Mercedes. All the new aero updates applied onto the car. Very nice. Very nice win for Vermoo. It will be victory number 5 of the season. Well, it's really untouchable out there. Congratulations to our other 2 podium finishers, both Haas drivers on the podium. Mega effort from them today. But I think, folks, with everything said and done, it's now time for us to wrap up the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you everyone so much for watching. We'll see you for round 11 of the AM1 Championship at Autodromo José Carlos Pache for the Brazilian Grand Prix. I can assure you next week it's probably going to be a hell of a lot of fun. But until next time, it's goodbye.